Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osric501 and today I want to go over some more Atlas patch notes. Now these are a few days old, I had some personal stuff come up, but we can still go over all of these because there are a ton of patch notes. It's not super old. This version 15.0.1 I think I think they just added some fixes in here maybe. But they also did some after, so we're just going to go newest to then version 15.0 because there are some pretty big patch notes in these small versions as well. So fix an issue with wild and tame dragon scaling, which would cause it to have incorrect stats. Now this is a big one here. Rebalance base weights for tame creatures increase. So first off, I think it was before version 15. Might have actually been in version 15, but they reduced the weight reduction that elephants had on wood. So basically, elephants are the best animal in the game to get wood with, but when wood was in their inventory, it was much lighter than if it was outside of their inventory. So if someone was carrying it or it was in a storage box or something. So they removed that, and there was dozens of Reddit posts only about that because it was a bad change just looking at that change. But then after that, they did this, which rebalanced base weights for tame creatures. And it makes sense why they did that. I don't know why they did it so far apart. It wasn't super far apart. It was probably like a day. But basically what they did was pretty heavily increase the weight on all tame creatures. So like elephants now, I think one of ours, I don't remember the level, had like 2,500 weight. Rhinos have over 2K, pretty much baseline. Everything got weight increases. So they can actually carry stuff. You know, wolves and lions and stuff, you're not going to be overweighting in a couple animals from their hide weight anymore. They have a good amount of weight. Stuff has much better weight, making a lot of tames a lot better for utility. Carrying stuff, a lot of people are actually having an animal follow them around. Even if they're not using it to directly gather, they're using it to follow them around because they have so good a weight now. So they can farm themselves, fill that up, and then fill their own weight up. Which is really good. It makes a lot of these tamed animals have utility uses instead of just having, you know, one animal, you know, an elephant or something, one hit a tree and have full weight or something like that, or have wolves and lions, stuff like that, only be for killing easier stuff. Then we have add an additional Fountain of Youth on different Golden Rune servers, so 2 are active tonight. The additional Fountain of Youth will not be visible until the client-side update releases later tonight. So basically, this was a small fix. We'll go over the Fountain of Youth in 15.1, but basically one grid was getting filled up too much, so they had 2 right at the start to hopefully alleviate some of that so people can get it. Version 15.33, fix an issue where clients would not correctly see the rejuvenation buff. Fix an issue where players could not tame the dragon using the token. Fix an issue where players would not be able to feed bully creatures due to desync on some servers. So just some fixes here. The rejuvenation buff and stuff like that we can go over. Basically what that was you would keep the buff, it just wouldn't show you had these extra stats. Fix an issue where doors, gateways, and gun ports would break on server reload. That's a pretty big one. I'm pretty sure one of our ships sunk because like the gun ports broke, maybe. I'm pretty sure it actually did sink because some of the gun ports did break. But now we have the big 15.0, or as it's labeled 15.1 now. We did get technically some new content. So this first thing, new Fountain of Youth quests will appear for characters age 90 and higher. The Fountain of Youth, currently represented as a magical particle effect, appears in a single Golden Age runes across Atlas near the Power Stone container. Every 50 in-game days, it teleports to another Golden Age runes on a cycle. If you find the fountain and activate it, your character will be set back to age 20. And if you do this when you are age over 90 years, you'll gain a significant increase permanent stat bonus. You can do this multiple times to gain further bonuses each time you're at least 90 or older. Characters over the age of 90 get a debuff that slightly reduces stats. And that's basically all kind of tied together. So basically what this is, once you hit 90 now, you get a stat reduction. It's pretty big actually. It's like 10% stam, 10% weight, 10% health. I think that might be it for just the stat reductions. Then 20% health and stamina regeneration. So it's a pretty big debuff. And now if you go to a Fountain of Youth, which are located on one of the Golden Age ruins, which those are like basically the dungeon islands that have the Power Stone containers, usually in caves and stuff like that. And it'll be right in front of the Power Stone container. And you basically just go up to it and click on it. Now, any age can do this, really, I guess besides 20. But if you only want to do it when you're 90, because once you hit 90, you get that debuff, you can go to the Fountain of Youth, activate the Fountain of Youth on your character. It sets you back to age 20, and then you get a stat increase. So what the stat increase is 10% health, 10% weight, 10% stamina, and then 10% to health and stamina regeneration. That's a pretty big increase by itself, but these are stackable. We don't know if they're unlimitedly stackable, but every time you're 90, you can go do another one of these. And the cycle is 50 in-game days. I think someone figured out it was like 16 hours or something like that. And so every 50 in-game days, it switches to another Golden Age ruins. And that's basically, I don't know if it's just the island or if it's a grid change, because I think there's technically multiple Golden Age runes in those grids, maybe. But I'm pretty sure it's just a set island because it's where the Power Stone containers are. So it just switches. It doesn't actually show you where it is, like if you toggle the quest, like how the Power Stones do. But you can usually find on Reddit and stuff like that. And they're saying it's going to be, where to say this at? On a cycle. So basically what they're saying there is it's going to be on a cycle. So it's going to hit one, it's going to hit another, it's going to hit another. When it goes all the way around, it's going to keep going in the same order. So if you knew the one before, you could know the one is going to, basically. And it was kind of crazy, the first one that came up, or it was actually when they added a second one, we went to the second one. There was dozens of just like ramshackle sloops and rafts there from free ports. Just tons of people running in to go get it. So you could actually get it, because if you were solo, it would actually be hard to run through the cave and get past all the stuff in the cave, then click it. With all these people, you know, animals are going everywhere. Stuff's not aggroing to people because they're aggroing to someone else. So it's actually pretty easy to get it when you got there. So I do have this buff. It's a pretty big increase. If you're 90, definitely go get this buff to reset that so you can get another stack as quick as possible. So fix an erroneous feat cooldown time calculation. Now that all feats feat cooldowns are what they are, what was originally intended, basically. I don't exactly know the changes of those, but feats are just like your activatable abilities. Defeating the Kraken now gives you a unique passive skill which permanently and automatically reduces all your feat cooldowns by 33%. That's a pretty big increase, and another good reason to actually go kill the Kraken. Summoning the Kraken now only requires the first 8 Power Stones. Ghost Ship Power Stones no longer necessary. I don't know if that's because the Ghost Ship was just that strong. Or maybe it was something that I guess didn't make sense to go do, since all the other Power Stones I think are on Golden Age runes. And then there's just this one that's just out in the middle of the sea, I guess. Fix a bug that was preventing recruiting new crew and free ports. Reduce the total time for unclaiming enemy claim flags. The max is now 4 hours with 15 minutes when at 100 flags. So, unless I'm wrong, how I understand this to be now is basically in a grid. I'm pretty sure it's in a grid. I'm not exactly sure if it's just company-wide or in a grid. I think it's actually in a grid. It might be company-wide. I'm not exactly sure now, because it did change this. I'm pretty sure it may have changed before. But basically how this is working is, depending on which one that is, grid or company, however many flags you have, the more flags you have, the quicker it is to unclaim your flags. So if you have 100 flags, it's going to take 15 minutes to unclaim one. Then the next one is going to take slightly longer. If you have no flags, or maybe a few flags, it's going to take 4 hours. Or not no flags, a few flags basically up to a certain point. It's going to take 4 hours at the high end. So basically this is, if it's a massive company, 100 flags is a lot, by the way. Taking over a big island would probably take a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, depending on the island size, because flags are a big area. So 100 flags, actually saying that, it doesn't sound like it would be one grid at all. It sounds like it would be like entire company, but this makes it easier to basically attack or try to push back bigger companies to try to take land for yourself. It also makes bigger companies have an incentive, unless they owned a ridiculous amount of land, to actually start removing their C claims, because there's so many companies with massive amounts of C claims. Like everyone on the top 10 list, or most of them, have a majority in C claims. So it's like you own some land, but a ridiculous amount of C that does almost nothing, really. Besides, I guess, maybe taxation. I guess that would work. But this might make some people want to remove their C claims, so claiming their claims on land and their base and stuff takes longer. Vultures no longer target low health wild creatures. Reduce wolf spawn frequency. Reduce wolf natural targeting range. Reduce wolf notify neighbor range. Reduce wolf HP and damage. Now the reduced wolf HP and damage did go to tamed creatures. Wolves tamed had pretty decent damage. I think they had close to the same damage as wolves and lions, or not wolves and lions, lions and tigers as well. But they had a ridiculous amount of HP. Now, most people thought this was kind of their niche, that they had more HP, lions could pick stuff up, and then tigers had the percentage damage swipe, but I guess that's not true. I think they do hit faster, though, and we don't know the exact scaling. They could still have higher HP or damage scaling than those other two. Fix land creature AIs not getting aggroed properly if attacked from a ship. Stop allies from being able to capture other allied territories. Fixed rapid unclaiming. Now, if your contested flag is unclaimed, it will unclaim at the same time that it took to claim. So, fixed rapid unclaiming. Now, if your contested flag is unclaimed, it will unclaim at the same rate that it took to claim. So, I don't really know what this is. I guess I'm not familiar with this rapid unclaiming, but I guess it was fixed. Improve door ticking performance. So I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be when you're opening and closing doors. Like if you have some ping or get a little bit of lag when you try to do it, like the door will just open and close because you try to click it multiple times. So I assume this is trying to fix that to make it more fluid when, you know, trying to open and close doors. Added cheat destroy all non-saddle player structures. Just a coding thing probably for unofficial servers. Reduced default gold from treasure maps by 50% as originally intended, and add a new server scaling value for treasure gold. Although the official 2 times weekend puts the gold back to pre-patch values. So I'm wondering, I know we had a 2 times thing. I think it's still going. I forget exactly when it goes through, but there was an extra like 2 times event going on basically with this patch. I know they extended it a little bit. Did they say? I don't think they say in any of these patch notes if they extended it. But I know they extended it because there was a rollback. I think it's on a tweet. I'll have to check that out, but I don't remember how long that goes to. But basically they're reducing the gold maps back to what the base times would be, because they did the 2 times baseline like for taming and gathering and stuff, and treasure maps, gold from treasure maps got included with that. So they're reducing it back down. Now, I don't think, unless you do some other specific stuff like whale hunting, gold isn't the like easiest thing to do, especially with how much NPCs you need for decent sized base defense. I don't know why they're doing this. Now the scaling value thing, I would assume is higher scaling gold the farther away you are. So basically if you get a map in a certain area, the farther away it is, the more gold you get. You also get more gold for it being higher quality and stuff, and that's a base gold on the map that it shows. That's a base gold. It can roll higher than that. So assume that's what it is, making it so baseline is lower but the scaling is higher further away stuff. That'll need some testing. 50% plus tame damage resistance. This is massive. So basically all your tames are now 50% tougher. Pretty much. They take 50% more damage to die. This is a massive increase. And this is going to make tames actually useful. I think the changes they've done put tames in a really good spot right now. Now they could still, you know, if something's hitting too hard for how tanky it is, they can reduce that. But right now what I'm seeing, tames are actually pretty useful. Tames can be used in PvP now. Tames aren't going to get absolutely shredded by an alpha cow anymore. Stuff like that. So tames are actually useful. And we'll see if if they're like super overpowered in PvP or something. I haven't seen any of them be super overpowered yet. Shark and jellyfish targeting / neighbor range are reduced by 30%. Diving suit adds 90 fortitude now and lasts for 2 hours at surface and 30 minutes at the deepest depths. Crop plots are not prevented from being placed on ships and are destroyed if they were on ships. Ocean creatures can no longer be alpha. Fix whale AI to target the ship or player more rather than the point of the player touches the ship. Fix NPC merchant ship allowing showing as overweight when players carry a lot of weight on board. Fixed merchant ship showing as raft with company ID 0 when looking at it. Fixed company ID 0 showing on non-player-owned structure on maps, water sprouts, etc. Fixed players being buildable on PvE islands. Oh, pillars being buildable. Fixed fog event not appearing for players using low settings. Fixed chicken hurt SFX. Added new large cannon SFX. Hard to say that 5 times fast. Fix parrot hurt. Fix players not aggro when attacking while spaced on a ship. Added streamer stealth mode option, which is just a mode to like a lot of other games have this to basically reduce the amount of information they see, so their stream doesn't see as much as well. Fix monkey hurt. Fix a bug causing map markers to draw at incorrect location on the map UI. Fix skill description error mythical change to legendary. Fixed floatsome items spoiling when reeled in with grappling hook. And if you don't know what this is, basically if the floatsomes are the water drops you can just see when basically shipping around, I guess. Or sailing around, I guess would be a better way to put it. But if you have a grappling hook, you can actually, if you hit them, and it'll pull them to you, and when it hits the ship, it'll break and give you the loot. So you don't have to get off the board. If you have someone with good aim, you can just slow down going by, they can reel it in and get the loot. A much better way than jumping off if you have someone that has good aim with a grappling hook. Fix Kleinscheid crash when transitioning with sextant buff. The sextant buff is if you have a sextant and there's stars in the sky, you basically do like a follow the star or something, follow different stars, and then you'll get some type of buff, basically. Fix a song not referencing the correct song buff. Fix a bug making it so the raft could be repaired for free. And here are some massive flame arrow changes. Increase flame arrow durability, cost of 4 durability consumed per shot. Reduce flame arrow max % damage by 25%, 4% per second to 3% health per second. This is a massive increase. It may not sound a lot, 4% to 3%, but overall it's a 25% damage reduction. It's still percent damage, but overall it's much lower. It seems this has definitely helped quite a bit, but we have to wait and see if it needs nerfed more, because fires still do percentage. They still need nerfed against ship hulls and stuff like that, but against players it seems much better. Reduce flame arrow max damage per second from 10 to 5. Reduce flame arrow damage to mythical creature by 75%. So that's like Cyclops, Gorgons, all that type of stuff. So that's making it so you can't just, do a big chunk of this massive, super hard creature's health with a fire arrow, which makes sense. Reduced Kraken health by 60%. Reduce Kraken minion AOD ship health 50%. By 50%. Reduced Kraken damage by 50%. Reduced Wild Dragon damage by 40%. Reduced Wild Dragon health by 40%. And reduced Wild Dragon targeting range by 66%. So the Kraken is the end boss. They're nerfing it because they even said that nobody on official servers had beaten it yet. I'm wondering if anyone's beaten it at this point on officials. Maybe they have because it got such a big nerf. Wild Dragons, they just nerfed more, so they're much easier, so they don't chase your ship everywhere and kill it. Fix Dragon not returning to its spawn area. Fix increased Dragon and aggro grace period from 6 seconds to 9 as it has a tighter aggro range now, so basically it won't go out to sea and chase ships everywhere. Fix Lucky Loader feat ability not be used whilst prone, and you cannot reload prone. So basically what happened, I guess this is just prone. There's actually still a glitch, I'm pretty sure, that if you get knocked out when you're using that or reloading, you could still finish a reload when tranked. But I guess this is just so you can't reload while prone. I don't exactly know why you can't reload prone. That doesn't actually make much sense, but whatever. Fix cloth gloves clipping into hands in FPV. Fix dreadlocks not shrinking correctly with hats. Fixed LT order seat collision bug. Oh, okay. Lieutenant order seat. Don't exactly know what that order is. Improve death collision to human corpses. Fix female emotes playing male voices. Fix female player characters using male sleep SFX. Added ability to place top hat on certain creatures. Fix Gorgon remove snake text. Corrected repair box inventory to read ship resource box. Removed elephant having weight reduction for wood. This is what we were talking about before. As this was never an intended mechanic and result in players being able to get around ship weight restrictions. Accordingly, we'll be rebalancing the base weight of tame creatures early next week. Also, I don't think they had this text right away. I think they added this after so many people were complaining about it. Fixed treasure guards despawning instantly on stasis. That's basically the skeletons that pop out when you're doing treasure maps. Fix giant snake lock on and player ability to damage it using melee attacks. Fix monkeys dropping human poop. Fix client crash when rendering ocean harvestables. Reduce Greek fire range by 40%. They needed this. Greek fire is basically the flamethrowers on swivel cannons. Their range was way too ridiculous, especially since they do so much damage. Increases Greek fire crafting cost by adding 6 fire gel per ammo. That's also good because basically suicide sloops with flamethrowers on them were ridiculous, and making them a bit weaker with these two is going to help out. Fix cow death harvest component giving the same amount of prime as a bull. As a bulls. They should really look over these patch notes. As a bulls. Reduce. Actually, is that correct? That does sound weird, but I know there is some incorrect stuff in here. Reduce trample damage for all applicable creatures. Updated. Geez, there's a lot more. Where am I? Updated pig force swoop abilities to scale with creature lever to incentivize taming higher levels. 45 seconds at level 1, 15 seconds at level 130. Okay, so basically, pigs are the Fiomies of this game. If you need poop, they have an ability that you literally just make them poop for free, I'm pretty sure. Reduce line grab weight threshold prevents unrealistic grabbing of wolves and horses, so lions can't grab wolves and horses anymore. Fix newly tamed creatures being hungry despite being fed during taming. Increases dolphin follow ship range by 33% and reduce interval by 20%. Fix bullet HUD to better indicate where to feed creature during taming. So I'm wondering if... I haven't actually tamed since this, so I'm wondering if this just shows where you should be or if it lets you tame in large areas. Remove giant prefix from creatures' descriptive name that use it. So that's changed giant snake description to cobra, so the big snakes are now just named cobras, which makes sense. Giant snake did feel like a placeholder name. Fix incorrect sounds being used by lion and tiger animations. Fix incorrect bear attack range to prevent stopping movement for claw attack, which often miss and allow players to gain distance when being chased. Reduce attack and AI creature range for cave bear based on its similar size. Fix incorrect item weights for cloth, hide, and plate armor. They are now heavier. Added folder paths for wooden gateways and gates so you no longer see them instantly when opening the smithy inventory. Fix ability of players to feed through walls of taming pens and not get attacked. So I'm wondering what this is. So basically what it sounds like to me is they remove the ability to feed through like a wall that an animal's head is sticking through. But this doesn't make sense unless you can feed animals from basically everywhere now. Because if an animal's head just glitched through a wall, like just how the clipping works in this game, you wouldn't be able to feed it unless you could feed it through the wall, unless they made it so you can feed all around its body now. I'll have to test this stuff out because I haven't tamed in a while. Prevented some creatures from not being able to be tamed if they're clipped too far into terrain or structures. Prevents multi-use feeding from the root, putting themselves in harm's way. I don't know what this actually means. Prevents multi-use feeding from the root, putting themselves in harm's way. No idea what that is actually. Improved waking tame feeding sockets on cows and razor tooth. Oh, so razor tooths are passive tames? I thought razor tooths were like carnos almost. Well, I've not tamed any of the dinosaurs yet, so I'll have to check that out too. Improved bullet socket on Crow, so you can actually hit them, which is nice. Update of Ultra AI controller to aim lower when targeting corpses. So that's basically they won't just fly around a corpse for 8 years until it disappears, or actually go hit it. Fix various creature spawn issues. Fix players being able to bullet certain alpha creatures. Now you cannot. It makes sense. When the game first came out, everyone thought you could tame alphas because you could bullet them. Updated Dolphin to prevent health bars appearing when they follow players. Improved torpor animations of Razor Tooth and Ostrich. Increased Ostrich's melee swing socket radius to more consistently land attacks. Updated Ostrich's IK to prevent leg distortion when running down slopes. Reduce max wander height on flyers. Improved serverless efficiency for a better performance. Fix Greek Fire SFX. Fix Player on Fire SFX. I wonder if you can actually see now, because if you don't know, if you were on fire, you legitimately just cannot see anything. Like if you were looking at an enemy player on fire, it was like a tiny little flame. But if it was you on fire, even if you were in third person, you couldn't see anything. It was ridiculous. Fixed inability to repair door frames in certain constructions. Added some additional configs. So these are just game any, I guess, stuff you can change. Oh no, okay, this is private server stuff. So these are just, they did this with Ark as well. Basically any setting you could think of in the game, if you were running a server or setting up server settings, you could change. So that's basically the end of the patch notes. A lot of good changes. Some changes I don't really like, but I think a lot of these are still along a good path, especially some of these ones up here, you know, the weight increase, stuff like that. A lot of good changes. I think the final use stuff is pretty cool, getting us more stats, stuff like that. So anyways, subscribe if you want to see more Atlas content. Like the video if you like it. Leave a comment down below what you think about Atlas as a whole, what you think about these patch notes, and thanks for watching.